Welcome to Part 2 of the Introduction to Smart Devices tutorial. Unfortunately, it's not a perfect world, and there are some pitfalls of owning and using smart devices. This tutorial should familiarize you with what some of them are, and the things you should know and do to address them. Crashes and failures. It's not a question of if it will happen to you, but rather a question of when it will happen. Some of the things that can happen are physical damage, such as when the device experiences a sudden impact or takes a dip in the water. The electronics can break where the display doesn't work, for instance, or the battery won't charge, and it can get lost or stolen. Maybe you left it at the airport in Beijing, or put it down and turned away for just a second. Anything can happen to it that can make its contents inaccessible to you. So let's say you've suffered a crash or other loss. What's the real damage? Loss of data, and it's all data, includes pictures, contacts, calendar, text messages, music and playlists, email, everything. If the device falls into the wrong hands, there may be enough information on it to tell your whole life story and possibly surrender some of your privacy and that of others mentioned on the device in contacts and messages, for instance. This is a good time to just introduce you to the expression backup, backup, backup. I'll also mention that there are security features on your device that can make it more difficult for someone to access everything on it, but we'll cover that in some detail in the User IDs and Passwords tutorial. So what will you do if you lose access to your device? You can try looking for it and checking with a lost and found department where you think you might have lost it. Since devices are sometimes stolen, you might offer a reward for its return with no questions asked. If a device was damaged, in many cases it can be repaired, but you need to be aware of the cost. You may need to replace it. You'll need to evaluate where you were with the device in terms of the technology and any contract you may have associated with it before you make a further decision. You may have had to do a hard reset and lost your data that way and need to restore it from your latest backup. What if it turns out that you need to replace the device? Was it insured? Depending on what happened to it, you may have an insurance policy that covers the loss. Usually you need to have purchased a policy that covers damage or loss of the specific device. These plans are available and priced by the number of years you want it covered and the original price you paid. For better or worse, the lifespan of a smart device is about 2 years. Often the battery can't be replaced by the user, and the technology has become outdated by then, so you may consider an upgrade at this time. If you have the device and something physically or electronically went wrong with it, should you consider having it repaired? If the repair is covered by insurance, you will probably want to make use of the premium money you spent to get the coverage. You may also want to consider replacing it for an upgrade and selling the repaired one as used to help recoup some of the money spent on a replacement. Sometimes people will sell their existing device to help pay for a more current version of that device or even a completely different one. What if insurance isn't an option? Should you buy refurbished? Unfortunately, the term refurbished means anything except new. It could be a used device that had had its battery replaced. It could be returned overstock. It could be a device that didn't meet the specifications of the original customer. It could be an open box not being sold as new, like a demo model. It could be a device that was returned for repair and any other reasons that it can't be sold as new. Generally speaking, you take your chances with a warranty that is only a fraction of a new one. Check the seller's return policy. Should you buy used? There are various reasons why someone would want to sell a device. An example would be someone that is used to one operating environment and having purchased the other environment, they simply can't adjust. Another may be that they've set their sights on a different device for its new bells and whistles. Smart devices are consumer products designed to fit particular lifestyles and personal preferences. If a buyer can get a warranty with or on the used device, then they wouldn't be risking more than buying a new or refurbished one. Should you buy new? Is it time for an upgrade? Is your device getting old? Did you lose it? Instead of replacing your device with a direct replacement, or if you think you need the latest and greatest, you may want to consider a current model device after considering the cost-benefit, including any contractual obligations. Your peers may pressure you into upgrading to the latest and greatest, so you can join them in using the new features offered. Always check to be sure that the device you buy isn't at the end of its product sales life and will be replaced by the latest version the day after you pay full price for the immediately old and now discounted version. When you get a device that's new to you, be sure to use your backup of the old device to load your data into the new one. Now we're going to talk about privacy and surveillance. Some people say that they have nothing to hide, so privacy isn't a concern to them. However, as an analogy, some people care about wearing clothes and some people don't. The problem for a person without clothes is they can't take back what someone sees, and they can't control what that information means to the viewer, no matter why they saw what they saw. In their own mind, they may have nothing to hide, but what a viewer thinks about them is completely unpredictable. Society and laws determine whether, due to the ramifications, it's in your own best interest to want privacy or not. So who is collecting data about you? Online retailers collect information about you every time you buy something from them. Credit card companies know a whole lot about you. Search engines know what you're looking for, and email systems know what you're talking about. Of course, phone companies know who you talk to and where you go. Even the collection of data about someone else may provide data about you by sheer implication. We'll talk about how most collected data is used a little later on. How are you giving away your privacy? Through the use of metadata. It's a term that has been thrown around here and there when the public asks questions about their privacy and the law. Metadata is data about data. Some assert that it isn't really data. However, there's a lot more to the definition, as it doesn't describe where metadata comes from. We'll give it a try here. The information we're going to collect in this example is known as metadata, and will be derived from the purchase of your new smart device. It would start with the make, the model, and the serial number of it. It will also include your name, your mailing address, your phone number, and email address. If you didn't pay with cash, the data about where you bank also becomes part of the metadata for the purchase. Nothing surprising there. There is more metadata that we can gather from that purchase. We also know where you purchased the device, how far from home you traveled to buy it, the price you paid, what time of day you shopped, and so on. The amount of data starts to build. Though a lot is then known about you, and all you did was purchase something, we don't actually know anything about what's on the device itself, so legally it isn't eligible to be called an invasion of privacy. We will soon know a lot more about you if you start using it online. Here we haven't even begun to consider how much more information can be compiled about you when it is matched with other seemingly innocuous records. Yes, it takes computers to put all that together, but there doesn't seem to be any shortage of them. For many people, the feeling of being totally exposed like that is scary. It gets scarier when we realize that we don't know the extent to which metadata is amassed and what it says about us. How can metadata information about you be used or abused? For the most part, the information assembled from metadata is used to make more money for retailers. When you shop at Amazon, for instance, you are always presented with ideas for additional products to go with the one you're buying. Amazon will send you emails about specials that meet your demographics and are related to your past purchases. eBay does the same. Credit card companies will often extend advertisements to you based on your use of their credit cards. We really don't know what all is done with all the data. It could be sold and collated with data from other sources to paint a more complete picture of you than you know about yourself. With a little social engineering, it wouldn't be long before someone could assume your identity even better than you can. How can you protect yourself? The first thing to know is that this is a common practice and it's nothing personal. Second, you need to be aware of the metadata you're giving up. Third, you should question the benefit to you that giving up information will bring and ask if it's mandatory. Consider refusing to yield information or provide it fictitiously. If you suspect someone is collecting more data than is appropriate, don't hesitate to refuse giving it. You may consider reporting it to the proper authorities as determined by the type of transaction involved. In the event your identity is compromised, it will take a long time and a lot of money to get things straightened out, so for that there is insurance. It can be a separate policy or sometimes included in your homeowner or rental coverage. It may be unfortunate, but in the end, Pandora's box, that is computing, has been opened. Next, we'll briefly touch on your keys to your kingdom, user IDs and passwords. Many sites need to know that the person they are dealing with is someone they know and that they can identify them with near certainty. That's what the user ID and password do. There is a great deal to know about user IDs and passwords, why they are the way they are, where you might come across them, how to come up with a password, tips on keeping your password safe, and more in our tutorial, User IDs and Passwords. There's one last thing to talk about. Becoming addicted to your smart device is a real possibility. We see it every day. People texting while driving, while eating, while talking with someone, while at the theater, a movie, or a concert, while riding a bicycle, while at the gym, everywhere. If you're not texting someone, you might be checking social media to see what the rest of the world is up to. You may become addicted to shopping online since everything on the internet is on sale. Be careful. The web doesn't mean cheap. A lot of games are available for smart devices, and gambling online is likely to be more addictive than any other kind of gambling. Porn sites are plentiful and can be addicting for some. So now you've heard about downsides of using a portable smart device. The possibility that your device becomes a completely integrated part of your life is very real. However, there are many other devices, like TV and entertainment electronics, that are already part of your everyday life, and like the TV, if you can control your usage, it might just enrich your life. The next video in this series, a short intro to getting started, introduces you to some devices you can choose from to get connected and enjoy this digital age. We hope you're interested in learning more about user IDs and passwords and our other tutorials as they become available. You may find other videos on YouTube that address other concerns or questions you may have. Finally, thank you, and we hope you're better off for having watched this tutorial. Please let us know what you thought of this and how you think we can improve it. We welcome your comments.